Hello, my name is Stefan Gemeinhardt from the Professional Services team at Ephesoft. Today I would like to talk about key value extraction rules. We will take a look at how to create key value extraction rules, how to configure them, and what possibilities exist to test key value extraction rules. Also, I will talk about additional possibilities of key value extraction rule configurations. First, let's talk about some prerequisites. Very helpful would be a general knowledge about OCR-based content extraction. Also, you should know what index fields in Transact are, how to create and how to configure them. Optionally, you should have a basic knowledge about regular expressions. Where to find key value extraction rules? If you look at this standard batch class structure, in the batch class management of Transact, you will find key value extraction rule configurations assigned to index fields. Index fields are related to a document type. What is the idea behind key value extraction? If you take a look at these both sample invoices, you can see that a key and a value can be in a certain relation to each other. Keys and values normally are text elements, where the value is the result of the key value extraction. Let's now create the first key value extraction rule. When looking at this batch class, you will find a document type invoice inside. This document type invoice contains two index fields. One is invoice number and the other one is invoice date. Let's start by creating a key value extraction rule for invoice number first. Each index field has several configuration entries. The first one is KV extraction rule. What means key value extraction rule? When clicking on such entry, in the central part of the window, you will find a list of configured rules. In this case, there is no rule configured. To add a rule, you need to click on the button Add at the top of the window. By doing this, you will jump directly into the configuration of a key value extraction. At the upper part of the left-hand side, you will find the reference to the current batch class, to the current document type, and the current index field. Below, you have several parameters to configure for this key value extraction. To configure a key value extraction, you always need a configuration image. Such image can be loaded in two ways. One way is to click on this link, which will open a file system picker. Another possibility is to drag and drop files into this area of the window. Let's do this. I will select an invoice sample and drag it into my browser. This image will be loaded and can be used now for configuration. At the upper part of the window, you can see now the name of the image loaded, and if there are more, you will find a list of all loaded images you could use for configuration. Also, if this image contains more than one page, you can find all these pages in this drop-down and jump to other pages. If available, you can switch between OCR and eText. eText is a possibility to use the full text information provided as PDF. And at the right-hand side, you will find a button to switch between the current image view and the view of the OCR full text data, which lies behind the image. To switch back to the image view, you just click again on this button. Having the image loaded now, we can start the configuration. What you will see in the middle of this image are two colored areas, one green and one red. The green one is related to the key used for this key value extraction. The red one is related to the value. By hovering your mouse over, you will see this information. Now let's take a look at this invoice and trying to find out what key could be used to find the value invoice number. As you can see, the invoice number can be found in this area. A possible key to find this value is this word invoice with a hashtag behind. So to configure this key value extraction, you just need to drag the green area for the key above the text information for this key, so this invoice number, and the red area to your value. Now you have configured this key value extraction rule in a way that the key and the value are positioned in a certain relation. Please note that the relation between key and value is dynamically searched on the invoice. So even though you have placed these areas in the upper right side of the invoice sample, this relation will be searched on the entire image. So it might be, if you find this keyword and the value in another area of this image, there might be another result for this configuration. Now, as we have configured the geographical relation between key and value, let's configure the text content. To do so, we can use these parameters key and value. It is important to know that what we enter here is interpreted as regular expression. So to find a key on an invoice, you will need to enter the regular expression for the text. In this case, the most simple one is to repeat just what you can see. The word invoice, a space, and a hashtag. To search for a value, of course, it must be more generic, because this invoice number will change. In this case, this invoice number has a length of 5 numeric characters. A numeric character in regular expression is \d. And the length or the number of these characters is configured in a way like this. So in this case, The key value extraction rule will search for the keyword invoice space hashtag, and in relation to this configured area, it will search for a 5-digit number. When having configured the text content of the key and the value, you need first to validate the regular expression you have entered. To do so, you click on this Validate regex button. This will show if you have done a mistake in this regular expression for key or for value. In this case, everything is fine. And now we can test our configuration. For this purpose, you will find a Test KV button. And if you click on this Test KV button, a result window will be opened in the lower part. In this result window, you will find one entry. So based on this configuration, for this image, one result is found. You can see that the key was found in this part, and related to this key, a value was found in this area. So for each of the results, the area where this result was found is highlighted on the image. Together with the result, there are some more information. One is the confidence, which is related to the confidence of the OCR text, together with the confidence you have configured in this parameter. This means if your configuration of this key value extraction rule has the result, you want to assign a confidence of 1, which is the highest and which is 100%. Also, together with the result found during testing, you will find the coordinates for the key and the coordinates for the value. And each result has a certain color code, which makes it easier to find results on the image when testing, in case you have more than one result. Let's now take a look at some additional parameters you can use to configure your key value extraction rule. First, let's take a look at this fetch parameter. When you open this drop-down, you will see that there are 3 options. The first one is all, second one is first, and the third one is last. This fetch parameter defines in case your key value extraction finds more than one value in the area related to the key, which one to deliver as result. Option all means all results will be delivered. It means that in case you find more than one 5-digit number in this area, the result will contain all of these numbers. Second option, first, means that the first 5-digit number found in this area will be delivered as result. And the third option, last, means that in case there are more than one 5-digit numbers found in this area, the last one of those will be the result of your key value extraction. In our case, fetch all will work because there won't be more than one 5-digit numbers here. Another parameter you can configure is the page you would like to search for this invoice number. You have again 3 options. First option is all, second option is first, and third option is last again. And with this parameter you define on what page you search for this invoice number in case an invoice has more than one page. With a standard configuration you will search on each of those pages. With the second option you just search on the first page, and with the last option you will search on the last page of an invoice. Which one of those options is the right one depends on what you would like to extract and what the invoices look like. In our case, the standard setting will work best. And the third parameter we would like to look at is the zone parameter. This parameter has more options. It allows you to search for, in this case, for an invoice number on an entire page, what is related to the option all, on the top of the page, on the left side of the page, on the right side of the page, in the middle part of the page, or at the bottom. Again, what option to use depends on your invoices, their layout, and the information you are looking for. In our case, again, the standard setting will work best. The last parameter to return from your test result to the configuration, you just click on the back button. And now you can, for instance, change the position of your key and your value, and also the text content and regular expression of each of those. In case your configuration has no result, you might want to take a look at the OCR data behind. Sometimes poor OCR data might explain that no result can be found. After having finished your configuration, you save it by clicking on the Apply KV button. Doing this will add an entry to the KV extraction rule parameters of the index field, in this case the index field invoice number. This entry can be seen here and shows, for instance, the key and the value together with other parameters. By clicking on the Apply button, this configuration containing your first key value extraction rule will be saved to the batch class. Let's now add a KV extraction rule to the other index field, invoice date. I open the invoice date configuration part. I select KV extraction rule. Again, I click on the Add button to open a new configuration screen of a key value extraction rule. Now we want to search for the invoice date value. Again, we could use the same way as we did before. We could use date as key to search for this value, which is a date. In this case, the key would be represented by the word date, and the value can be configured as regular expression. Instead of typing in your own regular expression, you have the possibility to use two options. One is the regex builder, which allows you to build a regex by using placeholders. Another one, which is to recommend, is a regex pool, where Ephesoft provides a pool of pre-configured regex configuration you could use. If you click on this regex pool entry, you find several categories. For instance, invoice number, invoice terms, amounts, emails, and so on, but also date time. If you choose one of those categories by double-clicking, you can see a list of entries which might be helpful. In this case, from this list of pre-configured regular expressions, the second one should work in our case. So by double-clicking this pre-configured regular expression entry, it will be filled into the value part. We can now test if this regular expression together with a configured key will work. And we can see that the value is found. Now I would like to show another possibility to find this date value. Instead of searching based on this keyword date, we can also use an existing field as key. As we know that on this invoice we have already extracted the invoice number, which is here, we can use this information to find in relation to that the invoice date value. This option to use an existing field as key can be activated by clicking on this checkbox. If you do so, this drop-down will provide all index fields which are available to be used as key. So if we choose this invoice number as key for this invoice date value, of course, we need to change the relation between both, because the invoice number will be found at this position, and related to this invoice number, the date will be found here. If we test now, we should also have a result. So this is an additional possibility to configure a key value extraction. The only limit. Please note that the possibility to use an existing index field as key is limited to index fields which have lower order IDs than the current one. The order ID is displayed in the list of all index fields for a given document type. So in this case, the invoice number has the order ID 1 and the invoice date the order ID 2. So invoice date can use the invoice number as key, but not invoice number the invoice date. Now I would like to show another possibility how to use key value extraction. For this purpose I will add an index field to the document type invoice, and this index field should have the name tracking ID. For this created index field tracking ID, I will now again configure a key value extraction rule. I click on the Add button, open the configuration of this key value extraction rule, select an image And now we are ready to configure. The tracking ID we would like to extract can be found at this position of this invoice. Now, instead of using a key for this tracking ID, we will use the tracking ID itself as key and as value at the same time. To do so, we place our key zone above this tracking ID. We will configure this regular expression for this tracking ID. In this case, we just click on it and we use this suggest regex function. You can see by clicking on it, the current value is displayed, and if we open the drop down, this function will suggest some regex strings to be used. We will use the second one and add it to the key configuration by just selecting it from the list. Now we will place our value zone above again this tracking ID, and we will just copy and paste the same regular expression to the value parameter. As the last times, we need to validate the regular expression before using it, and we can now test it. And we can see that the value is correctly extracted. This option to use the value and the key on the same position can be helpful in cases you have a very specific number or other string to be extracted and no key is around to be used easily. Now we have seen how to configure key value extraction rules in Transact. We have seen how to create key value extraction rules by adding them to index fields. You have taken a look at how to configure them, first by loading sample images, placing your key and your value zone on this image, by configuring the regular expression related to key and to value, and by validating this regular expression. Testing key value extraction rules was done by clicking on the test button and verifying the test results from the test result list. Also, I've shown some additional configuration possibilities as using existing index fields as key and using the option to use the same value as key and as value to deliver the result. I hope this video was helpful and want to say thank you for watching.